The most valuable draw in women's basketball now comes with a free hat. That's the offer the Indiana Fever are running into Tuesday night's home game. And the executive behind it once promised the exact opposite. Her name is Amber Cox. She runs the business side of this franchise. And what she's done with Caitlin Clark's box office tells you how this organization really values the player who saved it. That offer is telling you something, and every Fever fan should be uneasy about it. Clark is the engine. Everybody knows that. She leads the entire WNBA in assists, and she's the reason a team that spent a decade near the bottom now leads the league at the gate. Back in 2024, Indiana drew north of 17,000 fans a night. Best in the league, home and road. Clark put this franchise on the map. But good feelings don't run a front office. Decisions do. And the decision sitting on the Fever's own ticket page right now is a discount. Let me show you the receipt. Pull up the team's official ticket site today. Lucas Oil Family Nights. A ticket, a meal voucher, and a co-branded hat, bundled together starting at $28. University Hat Nights stacked on top. An email sign-up asking fans to register for ticket offers. This is the organization that controls the single hottest commodity in the sport, and the marketing play is bundles and giveaways. That's where it gets uncomfortable for the front office. Amber Cox isn't some anonymous name on a letterhead. She landed in Indiana in October of 2024 as Chief Operating Officer and General Manager, the person whose entire job is tickets, marketing, and partnerships. Before this, she ran that same work for the Dallas Wings, handling ticket sales and partnerships and delivering 7 sellouts in a single season. A revenue executive knows precisely what a star draw is worth. And on the day she was introduced, Cox said something I want you to hear in her own words, quoting the team's own announcement. From the top down, there is a commitment to invest in the Fever. Invest? That was the word she chose. So watch what the front office does, not what it said. 18 months later, the move on the table isn't investment in the product. It's a markdown on the gate that Clark built. That gap between the promise and the price tag is the whole story. Think about what Clark means to this team for a second. She isn't a player you discount your way around. She's the reason the discount shouldn't be necessary in the first place. When a franchise holds the most bankable athlete in the sport and the best idea marketing can produce is a free hat, you have to ask what's actually being protected here. The asset or the quarterly number? And most people miss what this promotion is sitting next to. A family night bundle isn't villainous on its own. Every team in the league runs promotions. That part is normal. The problem is the company it keeps. The same organization slicing ticket prices to move inventory is the organization that ruled Clark out 100 minutes before a game in May without ever putting her on the injury report and drew a formal warning from the league for it. It's the same organization that pulled the credentials of the longest-tenured beat reporter in Indianapolis after he told fans the truth about her body. It's the same front office steering a season that, by its own preseason expectations, has come up short. So the question writes itself. They'll move fast to monetize her. Will they move that fast to protect her? Look at what she's giving this franchise in return. Clark is averaging better than 20 points and 8 assists a game, and those assists lead the entire league. She sits 5th in the WNBA in scoring while running the offense. This isn't a name selling tickets on reputation. On the floor, she's the best distributor in the sport, putting up those numbers while carrying a workload the front office keeps gambling with. That's the player the marketing department decided to bundle with a meal voucher. The bundling should sit wrong with you, and here's why. It reveals the order of priorities. The fast decision, the one that got made and posted and pushed to an email list, was the revenue decision. The slow decision, the one fans are still waiting on, is the one about protecting her body, managing her minutes, building a roster that doesn't ask her to carry everything. The franchise found urgency for the coupon. It hasn't found that same urgency for the player the coupon depends on. Now follow the logic of a discount, because it gives the game away. You don't cut the price of something that sells itself. You cut the price when you're nervous about the room. And whether or not that room is actually empty, I'm going to be careful here, because no one has reported hard attendance figures that say it is. The front office is behaving like people who are nervous. The promotions are real and documented. The worry they imply is the tell. But look at the answer they chose. Instead of meeting that worry by investing in the product, protecting the workload of the player who fills the seats, building a season that doesn't need a coupon, The answer was the coupon. That's the choice. That's what Tuesday night is built on. Let me put this in a frame bigger than basketball. Decades ago, an owner in Brooklyn spent 2 full seasons telling Dodgers fans the team was committed to them. He said all the right things at every public turn. Then, in October of 1957, Walter O'Malley moved the franchise to Los Angeles. Brooklyn never got baseball back the same way. Nearly 70 years later, there's still no Brooklyn team, and there's still no trust. This isn't a prediction that the Fever are leaving. They aren't. It's a warning about the distance between what a front office says and what it does, and how long fans remember when that distance shows up on a ticket page. Cox said invest. The page says a hat and a hot dog. So, what would investment have actually looked like? It's worth spelling out, because the contrast carries the whole argument. Investment looks like depth behind Clark, so she isn't logging heavy minutes on a back that's already flared up twice this season. Investment looks like a front office that treats her availability as the franchise's most protected asset instead of a week-to-week gamble. Investment looks like building a season worth full price, so the building fills because the basketball earns it, not because a hat came free with the seat. None of that landed on the ticket page. A discount landed on the ticket page. And a discount is the cheapest possible substitute for the thing Cox actually promised. There's one piece of this that works in the fans' favor, and it's easy to miss. The power is yours. Clark's value was never a gift handed down from the front office. It's something the building manufactures every single night the seats are full. The day the organization starts treating her draw as something to discount instead of something to defend is the exact day the people in those seats get to decide what that draw is really worth. Cox built an entire career knowing the answer to that question. So, does everyone who's ever paid full freight to watch number 22 play? And one detail sharpens the point. The Fever aren't a struggling franchise scrambling for bodies in the building. They're a franchise treating a perception problem like a demand problem. Teams genuinely starved for fans discount to survive. A team sitting on the most watched player in the sport discounts because someone in the building decided easy revenue was worth more than the long game. That's not survival. That's a decision. Here's the backstory that makes all of this land. When Cox arrived in October 2024, she replaced Lynn Dunn as general manager and stepped into a front office run by Kelly Krauskopf, the president of business and basketball operations. Before Indiana, Cox spent 2 seasons running operations for the Dallas Wings. Tickets, communications, marketing, partnerships, the entire revenue engine. By training and by resume, she's a revenue executive. Say that plainly. It's not a knock. It's the context that explains everything. When the marketing answer to the most valuable athlete in the sport is a discounted bundle, that wasn't an accident and no junior staffer dreamed it up. A revenue executive made a revenue call. And that call tells you how this front office sees Clark right now, not as an asset to protect and build around, as inventory to move before Tuesday. So here's where it leaves Indiana. Tuesday night, the Fever host the Toronto Tempo at Gainbridge. The building will fill, maybe not because of a hat, but because Caitlin Clark is on the floor. The front office will count that gate. And somewhere on the official site, the $28 offer will still be sitting there, quietly telling you everything you need to know about how this organization values the player who made every dollar of it possible. Cox promised to invest. The receipt says she put the engine of the franchise on sale. So I'll leave you with this. When the most valuable draw in your entire sport is also the cheapest seat you're willing to sell, who's getting the bargain here and who ends up paying for it later? Let me know what you think in the comments.